With the bill to establish an independent commission to investigate the 1-6 attack expected to pass with just Democratic and a handful of Republican votes, and as the majority of the GOP attempts to shut down any and all attempts at accountability for the events of January 6th, shocking new video from that day is out today, showing once again how far the insurrection was from a, quote, normal tourist visit, as one Republican congressman described it last week. The videos put out by the FBI as part of a call to identify suspects show attackers violently assaulting police officers who were trying to defend the Capitol and everyone in it. As the manhunt for the insurrectionists continues, with 6 suspects arrested just today, making it one of the busiest days in the Capitol riot investigation, there are still many unanswered questions involving Republican lawmakers on the Hill and their role in the events of January 6th. Our next guest made the stunning claim in the wake of the insurrection, saying that some of her Republican colleagues gave reconnaissance tours of the Capitol just a day before the attack. Joining us now is Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill of New Jersey, member of the Armed Services Committee, as well as a former U.S. Navy helicopter pilot and federal prosecutor. Eugene and A.B. are still with us. Congresswoman, I wonder if your charge or claim wasn't true, why wouldn't they be the most aggressive advocates for an independent commission to prove their innocence, to prove that wasn't the case?
Nicole, as you said, this is an independent, bipartisan commission to get to the bottom of the events leading up to January 6th and what happened that day and how we can make our democracy stronger and heal the nation. Why would anyone be against that, Republican or Democrat alike? It's hard for me to understand. And, you know, I tell people often I'm a former Navy helicopter pilot, a former federal prosecutor, so I've taken numerous oaths to the Constitution of the United States. But make no mistake, every single member of Congress has taken that oath to our democracy, to our Constitution, and this is the way we uphold that oath.
Has anyone followed up on the question of whether or not Republican members of Congress were aiding or previewing the Capitol for the insurrectionists?
I've spoken to federal investigators, and I know there's an ongoing federal investigation, and so we haven't seen the results of that yet.
I want to ask you about the law enforcement community in and around the Capitol. The family of one of the officers who took his own life is out with a statement about the creation of an independent commission. This is from the family of police officer Howie Liebengood. He committed suicide after January 6th. They say this: "We believe a thorough, nonpartisan investigation into the root causes of and the response to the January 6th riot is essential for our nation to move forward. Howie's death was an immediate outgrowth of those events. Every officer who worked that day, as well as their families, should have a better understanding of what happened. Uncovering the facts will help our nation heal and may lessen the lingering emotional bitterness that has divided our country. We implore Congress to work as one and establish the proposed commission." What is it like up there to have, on the Republican side, a leader in Kevin McCarthy who won't meet with another officer who was injured, Officer Fanone, to disregard the wishes of a family who lost their loved one by suicide? What do they have to say for themselves when the cameras aren't rolling?
It's so difficult because you mentioned the 9/11 Commission. And, you know, I'm from North Jersey. We had many people who were killed on 9/11. And we really, that commission really helped heal people, heal the nation, and helped our nation move forward and better frame what happened. And so here we have an event, the worst attack on our Capitol, the President of the United States attacking Congress as we were doing our constitutional duty. This nation has to investigate that. We have to bring everyone together and to have this bipartisan, independent commission do it to help make sure everyone knows the truth of what happened. I remain really unable to fathom why members of Congress are trying to whitewash that day. We've heard one member say it was a normal tourist event. As you said, several people committed suicide after that event. We had police officers. A police officer lost his eye, lost a tip of a finger. We had someone tased so many times that they had a heart attack. This was in no way a normal tourist event.
Congresswoman, what do you understand that we may be missing with Kevin McCarthy appointing Congressman Katko to negotiate, reaching terms that were what Republicans said they wanted, equal power, that the Democrats didn't have an opportunity to make more appointments to an independent commission than Republicans. It's even both parties have to sign off on the subpoena. Are the Republicans shutting it down to shut it down, or is there some idea floating around of what they wanted that Katko didn't achieve?
You know, I have this sense that Republicans are playing such a political game with all of this that they totally misread the Democratic caucus and truly wanting to get an independent, bipartisan investigation into what happened. The clear and deep sense that we have to understand this better so we can heal the nation, that we have to ensure this never happens again. I think that was missed on Kevin McCarthy, who seems to have this sort of agenda of promoting loyalty to President Trump, consolidating around whitewashing and a narrative that's simply not true, and really misread the fact that Democrats would be very willing to negotiate, to get to a place where everyone could feel that this was a commission that was going to find the truth and that all Americans could have faith in.